Hi everyone, and welcome to my online launch of Roots. And yeah, just want to gonna give it a few seconds just to let other people join, if they may, and yeah, and then we'll get started. Brilliant. Okay, we'll get started. Thank you for joining me, and it's been a great day having Roots finally launch. It's been a project that I've been working on since 2018. I started writing some of the poems for Roots then, and now it's a finished collection of poetry, which is fantastic. It's my first hardback published with Amazon, and yeah, the links are in in the description below if you want to get yourself a copy. But yeah, it's here and it's real, and I can't wait to share some of these poems with you. So we'll just get into it. Bro. So the first poem. So the first poem I wanted to read is one of the poems that are before the sections of the book, and this one's called Family. Our first memories include you, deep in our earliest thoughts, images created and formed, recollections shaping ourselves, morphed into your visage, together a forged unit of our familial histories, destined to imprint our collective genealogy into the world, our legacy lasting forever. So that's the first poem. And then following quite nicely on that is a poem called Friends. So bear with me, I'll just pull that up. Where was that one? Here we go. Yeah. So the next poem's called Friends. And again, this is all for the people that have inspired this collection, that have helped create memories that I have, and that have been there and have supported me. So these poems are dedicated to them. Friends. They're the family you do not choose. They're there for you in an instant, knowing what you need without asking, being on the phone to keep in touch. When you meet, even after a lengthy absence, it's like nothing has changed. They support you in your passions, things that mean something to you. They calm you down when you're worried. They're there when times are hard. Memories with them, made with them, will last a lifetime. And then this other poem I want to read is dedicated to my amazing and beautiful fiance, Kathleen. And yeah, this is for her, called My Rock. You're my one, the only one, to complete me, to understand me. You take care of me when ill, you ensure that I'm at my best. You make me feel happy when sad. You make me feel whole and secure. Together we're stronger, united. Together we're meant to be. Forever it's us, two becoming one. Forever it's us, always in love. So they're the initial poems that before we break out into the sections. And yeah, there's a couple of others, but yeah, they're just a couple that I wanted to read there. Then the first section is called Maternal. Now these poems, they're all there for my mother's side of the family, and the memories, the recollections, the stories that I've been told from them. And yeah, it's been really fascinating learning about that part of my family. And all these poems are dedicated to that side of my family. And the first poem that I want to read is one that I pretty much do every single time I have a set. Every single time I perform, I'd like to perform this poem. So I'm just going to go straight into it. It's called Two Hills. You're between two hills, young and enjoying life, taking your time to savour life's little offerings. Embracing the Scot within as the hills cautiously looks on, like a newly found babysitter. Don't take being hidden too far now. Don't get too cocky. This is a lesson learned and one that needed to be heard because for out there, it's a big bad world. Dance in a Scottish jig. Your troubles travel and escape out the tips of your toes, expelling a wondrous amount of energy. 15 years on, life has taught you well. Still secluded by two hills and naivety, a close friend, you haven't been introduced to fear. To you, it's a foreign friend, like another language is to me, touching and caressing your nerves, just as the first kiss with a new lover sends shockwaves up your spine. Planes fly above, oblivious to the societal goings on within the valley below. The only signs are military personnel staggering emphatically as they make their way back to the concealed barracks after a night out with the locals, your heart belonging to one of them. We fast forward 25 years and you're out of your comfort zone. You've absconded, left your roots in the Scottish earth that you once called home. You're English now, surrounded by tea and scones, making and eating roast dinners while the kids play hopscotch on the pavement. This is the life you're living. This is the path that you've chosen. At this point, I'm not a thought. I'm a generation away. My life depending on the way that you live yours. There's no regrets, for if you didn't live the way that you did, then my existence would be in peril. Moving on another 20 years, and suddenly I am part of you, brought into existence. We sit and talk as I eat cereal, and you find your roots within a bottle of Bell's whiskey mixed with Lucasade, as you begin to tell me the stories of your life between two hills. But now you're gone, and it's me who's observed, as decision after decision befalls me. You're between two hills, surveying me, living life. So that poem was really the start of this collection. It's the one that kind of inspired me to kind of pull together poems about my family, about the stories, about memories. So that poem again it's come with me, it's traveled with me, it's been there, and it seems to be the one that I love to perform, but it's always the one that inspires me, that even if I come back to, it always inspires something new, something different. So the next poem that I want to read you is yes. This one is called Old Tongue, and it's actually a poem by Jackie Kay, who's a Scottish poet, and I basically turned this poem and I used a concept called blackout poetry, where you kind of cover some of the other words within a poem or within a piece of literature. You can do it with anything really. And what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to not different meaning, or it's supposed to give it a new life. I thought this poem, Old Tongue, it lended itself really nicely to me thinking about my grandmother growing up in Scotland, and her thoughts when she kind of first came to live in England. And yeah, I'm just going to perform it now. I was south when I opened my mouth. A strange thing happened. I lost my Scottish accent. Words fell off, started to stretch like my bed of night. Oh, words, my lost words. Did you ever when you try and call it back? If I found my words wandering, I swear I would have swallowed them whole. Out in English soil, my old words made my blood boil with the wrong sound in my mouth. I wanted my old accent back, my old tongue, my Scottish tongue. So yeah, that one's again inspired by Jackie Kay. So that one is for her. And yeah, if you have any questions while I'm reading, please do feel free to pop them in the chat and I will try and answer them as I go. But yeah, I'll just continue with some poems. So this next poem, where is it? Is the actual title poem of the collection. So this poem is called Roots. And with this poem, I did a thing. It's a form called a golden shovel poem. So what this means is you take the first you take a word um, of each line, and that forms the end word of every line of the poem. And the poem that I used for this was actually by a Scottish poet called Robert Burns, and it's one of my favourite poems of his. It's called "I Fond Kiss," and yeah, I kind of then brought it to life by putting my spin on it. So this is called Roots. It calls to me in my heart and thoughts. I a homeland so distant, but yet I am fond of its thistle name pricking my lips as we kiss. I yearn to trace my finger along its borders and steal a caress over its hilly landscape. Only then will it feel like home. Finally, the end is nigh, and we shall be brought together in unison that nothing can sever. It is true that the bagpipes serenade my dreams. I hear them as I fall aslumber. But alas, I must say farewell to my past self, for now I am changed and my longing for home pulls me closer to you. Then I shall take my leave, adjoining you on Scottish. I am home, I breathe Scottish air deep into the barrels of my lungs, taken in the moment, a lump in my throat, heart wrung. I well up at the thought of finding my roots, tears attaching themselves to the corner of my eyes. I'll have to steady myself before I progress and make my pledge to my new home. I shall never leave thee. No longer shall my heart be torn, agonizingly warring over where its home resides. Now it slowly sighs as realization of the depth of my ancestry and the past that has been hidden and silent groans, awaiting to tell their stories. However, I'll be patient for them to recall their accounts and wage their fondness and familiarity upon thee. Curiosity has always made me question who, where, when, why, how. But we shall endeavour to hear what our new countrymen say in their native tongues, ensuring that I become accustomed to the new ways. For fortune has shown its hand and has opened eyes to what grieves my thoughts, looking above for answers from him. Answers come in the form of action. While I travel to my new home, I can recount the times that I envisioned myself here, guided by a single star. The journey lasting a number of hours allowed for contemplation and anticipation of hope. That the home I so envisaged is as she, my grandmother, foretold. I take my leave of the past, look into the future with permission from him. For now I feel complete, whole, which is weird. Me, assured in myself and in my past, I shall nay forget this moment, and how cheerful it makes me, with a crystal-like twinkle, exclaiming loudly its clarity and lights the path that I need to take, now clearly shown before me. No longer shall my thoughts contain dark and desperate illusions leading to despair. For now that I can truly say that I am around my new home, my journey no longer benights my dreams. Scottish soil shall nay need to call to me. So that's the title poem of the book called Roots. Next poem. So this poem is actually about my maternal grandfather, so my mum's dad. And it's a recollection, it's a memory that I have of him going going to the house, and he'd be sat in the kitchen, and he was very musical, and he would do this thing with his hands where he would tap, and he would tap on the table, and he would make a little tune. So yeah, this is for him. It's called Tapping Fingers. Tap tap, tap tap, tap tap, tap tap. Song after song, tune after tune are played out on solid wood. Tap tap, tap tap, tap tap, tap tap. Fingernail strike. 1 2, 1 2 3 4. Again and again, its melody continues. Tap tap, tap tap, tap tap, tap tap. Humming soon follows, deep and throaty, both in sync, both in tune. Tap, 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 tap. You miss playing the tiny flute, but your fingers can still hold a tune. Tap, 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 tap. So the next poem is a personal memory I have. I'm just going to read it because I think it kind of explains itself. But yeah, it's called Book Thief. It's a humdrum of activity. People standing side by side, buggies and prams blocking temporary aisles, chitter-chatter serenading makeshift bookshelves. It shines, gleams at me, perched on its shelf, waiting to be bought. I want to know its story. I need to know what happens. My hand subconsciously reaches for it. Its coldness awakens senses. Expectantly, my head turns. Mum's talking to another mum. She's busy. I shouldn't interrupt. I know. I'll ask her later. Without another thought, the book finds its way under the buggy. 5 minutes into the walk home, all is silent, and we're meandering. Here's my chance. My hand reaches underneath, making contact with its pages. Mum, can I have this? Not long after that, I got taken back to the school because it was actually at my brother's school. I wasn't at school at the time. And I was brought in front of the head teacher and I had to apologise and we gave it back. So yes, I don't have a criminal record. And yeah, that is just a funny recollection, a funny story that I remember of basically, yeah, of going to my brother's school and yeah, liking a book. Still like books. Oh, why have I gone that far? Ah, yes. The next one is actually linked to again a memory I have of around Christmas, and everyone that knows me knows how much of a fan I am around Christmas. But this is actually of a tradition that we used to have on Christmas, on Boxing Day, of going round to my maternal grandmother, my mum's mum, would go round to her house, all the family would be there, and it's just a poem around sort of remembering those occasions. It's called Boxing Day. Each room has its own theme. Toys, grown-ups, food, TV, each space filled with bodies, activities, conversations, laughter, filling the apartment this day. Seasonal festivities take hold. Decorations adorn trees and ceilings, green, red, silver, and gold. Presents passed with thanks, peeling back the layers, smiling. Food is then served. All laid out, all prepared. Pickled onions, beetroot, tinned salmon sarnies, sausage rolls, and coleslaw. The hallway becomes a stage. New toys and games played, their story told to an audience of mums, dads, aunties, uncles, and grandparents, all amused. Catching up with loved ones. 12 months have gone by. Life updates proudly disclosed. Annual forthcoming plans are revealed to all listening. Some stay, some go. For another year, it's farewell until the festivities return. In 365 days' time, we shall gather together again, our clan. Cool. Next poem. Okay. So we're going into the paternal side of my family now in the book. So this is recollections I have from my father's side of the family, and just memories that I have there. And yeah, the first poem I want to read, well, I'll kind of explain a little bit more. So on my father's side of the family, there is a military theme. So a lot of members of my family have served in the military. And yeah, this one is for all of them and is around that. It's called Military. 1. Army. Tanks, big metallic machines, traversing ground destructively, cramped and confined within. Its steel walls close in on you. Its lack of space claustrophobic. Every breath taken measured. Thunder in the ground beneath, rumbling with great ferocity. Inside, bouncing around, jerking. The order comes from on high. A bustle of preparation begins. Metal scraping metal, routine. Bang! The round discharged. Orders complete as directed. The tracks begin to move again. The next target now waits. Enemy after enemy falls. The battle won. The war continues. 2. Navy. Luck of the draw. First come, first served. Both have their appeal. Both would suit you. Both keeping you waiting. It's a race for your scrawled signature. Your choice is made with you unaware of its welcomed outcome. A bone white envelope with your name written permanently in ink outlines your future. The Royal Navy, it is. RAF. From school to the Air Corps, regimented, organised. Technical engineering and the thought of flying. High up in the clouds, an alluring feeling. Uniforms inspected, taught to be perfect. Boots shine like a mirror, reflecting your lessons. Spit, polish, rub, shine. Time spent recreationally, a semblance of organisation. To usual chaos, life chooses to befall. So yeah, that just to give a bit of context, my paternal grandfather served in the army. My father served in the navy, and my brother served in the air cadets for the RAF. So that's where the three poems came out from there, and the memories I have of stories being told of each one. Next poem. So this one is, again, it's a memory, it's a story, it's one that's told from my father as well, mainly with my stepmother, of a promise that she made for us. And yeah, it's called Race. It's coming, I can see it, screams from lenses of cameras as we stop off for a moment. Let's see if we can beat it, the reply comes in earnest from the captain of our vessel. Yes, that would be fun, replies come as little legs carry the crew back on board. Get in, let's go! Jumping alight, the vessel springs into motion. Off we go. We're in the lead, the first lieutenant observes from the con. We're almost there, just one more corner. Through the gate, that's it. Yay, we made it, the gangway delivering him to us safely. You kept your promise, said with a smile. It was never in doubt. So yeah, that one was it was the first time that we'd actually gone down to Portsmouth where my dad was stationed in the Navy. And it was the first time we'd seen him actually come off ship, and it was a promise that stepmom had made of taking us there one day and actually being there when he did. And it was a great day and a great feeling. So yeah, that's for that memory. So the next poem is a memory I have with my paternal grandfather. He was very into his sport, and I think I get my love of sports through him and from him. And I have this clear memory of sitting there on a Saturday at 4:45 and looking at the teletext, and this is showing my age here, but looking at teletext and watching the scores come through. And just that excitement, the adrenaline of seeing the scores change and seeing them coming through in the final scores. So this is about this memory that I have with him. Teletext. Saturday afternoon, and it's 4:40. Any minute now. We wait for a sign, sat hands gripped to each other. An hour ago, we were in a very similar situation and posture. But this is it. The last chance saloon. The last gasp. 4:44. One more minute until its arrival. One more minute until exuberant joy or deep devastation. Breathe in shallows as the clock strikes 4:45. Full time. The page refreshes, scores appearing. One by one they're revealed. Numbers encasing emotions. Hugs and yelps serenade the living room, our stadium. Celebrations galore as the right result came through, until next weekend, and the nervous anticipation takes hold again. as I mentioned, my paternal grandfather, he again got me. He had a big love of sports, and he kind of, I think that kind of fed into me a little bit, quite a bit. But one of the sports that he was quite passionate about was cricket, and that was in the family. And this story, this memory I have is when he used to take us down to the park, and he used to teach us how to play cricket. But we didn't use stumps; we just had a tree as our stumps and our wicket. So yeah, this is about that. It's called Stumped. And actually, in the poem, it's very visual. It looks like a tree stump. Oh, not tree stump. It looks like the wickets. So yeah, very visual. But this is a story. The big tree calls to us as we enter the park. Wooden cricket bat and a tennis ball in hand. Excitement builds as anticipation slowly and gradually rises. We stand in front of the tree, waiting for Grandad to begin telling us what to do next. He stands, eyes fixed on the tree behind. We lock eyes for a minute. I swear he blinked, but it was gone in a flash. The next thing I see is the ball hurtling fast directly in my direction. Instinctively, I swing the bat to meet the trajectory of its flight path. Alas, I did not consider the spin and the bounce of the ball as it twirled past me in a whirlwind of mockery. Realization strikes as I understand. This is no ordinary team sport. Our feet fall in line as we walk home, thinking about each strike of the ball in front of the makeshift stump, each step echoing back hitting tennis ball. Thump. So, so this poem is about on days out we used to go out and we used to take a picnic. So it used to be yeah, we used to sit there and have sandwiches, have a drink of juice. We used to have crisps. So this poem, I tried to use a form called it's called a univocalism. Basically, what that means is you can only use one vowel throughout the whole poem, which is quite hard. And in this poem, I've chosen the vowel and the letter I. So this is called Picnic. Crisps in cling film, sipping drinks while sitting, picking nibbles with lips. Its whiff light, airy, spirits high in bliss, thrilling, smiling, grinning, finish. Ooh, so the next one. So when we used to go on the picnics, and this has come through from my stepmother, really, a memory with her, is any crisp packet that we would have would be turned into a triangle just by folding it. And now I realise that I do this a lot, and I do this subconsciously. Subconsciously, yeah, I do this subconsciously now. So yeah, this poem is about that, really. It's called Triangle. Rectangles become thinner as fold overlaps fold, straight lines perpendicular to each other, rectangles become triangles. At 90 degrees from edge to sharp-lined edge, layers now hidden, rectangles of all shapes, sizes, and brands are transformed, reformed to become something else. Rectangle movements become in second nature, now forming triangles with eyes closed. Triangles show themselves fashioned and fully formed with three sharp edges, rectangles producing triangles. So this next poem is about an incident that happened when we were on holiday growing up. We used to go down to the south coast quite a lot, so like Devon, Cornwall, all around there. And this one particular holiday, we were in a place called Paynton, down in Devon, and we'd gone out for the day. We've come back, and there was a bit of banter and a bit of laugh around sort of having the keys and not having the keys, until we realised that actually we didn't have the keys and we were locked out. So this is called the Paynton Five. A light in the train after a long day out exploring, Hunger pains strike stomachs. Banter starts amongst the group. You've got the keys. No, I don't. You do. A giggle responds. Yeah. Remembering Rick and Marianne. Smile fades as realization sets in. You mean gulp. Each metallic key inserted, but no luck. Yep, locked out. Barred from lodgings. Solutions revolve like locomotives, click-clacking along tracks. A window left ajar. A way in. Shuttlecocks fly over netting, whizzing past windows, drawing away attention. From a ladder slowly creeping across the path alongside the building. Quietly propped up, a grandmother keeps watch as legs fold in through the small gap in the bathroom. Entry gained, access granted. Later that evening, whilst devouring the evening meal, the telly comes to life. Do you recognize these 5 people? Were you around this area on? So the next poem is again another memory that I have of a day out, and it was going down. It was a day out with our stepmother, and she'd taken us to these caves that a group of caves, and we were on a guided tour. And it's basically an interaction that we had with the tour guide. Well, I had the tour guide. It's called Denim Skirt. Lights guide the way as we go further down, steeper and steeper into the cold, dark cavern, refuge for thousands during German raids. Its dark, solid walls providing protection, holding hands as our descent deepens, engraved numbers representing bunks, stories filling the eerie, stealthy silence, striking a metal tank, reverberating off walls. This is where it's believed there was an altar, where they did sacrifices and the blood would drain away. It was the offerings of little girls, girls with blonde hair, girls wearing denim skirts. A look of understanding falls worryingly across my childlike face. Looking down, it's all right, it's all right. A Knickerbocker glory makes it all better. Okay. So this is actually the last poem in the paternal section. And again, as mentioned, the family have quite, on my father's side, have quite a strong connection with the military. But this poem, it links to that, but it also links to a memory I have of refereeing, of officiating a football match. And this is called Army versus Navy. A classic matchup, steeped in history, steeped in rivalry. 2 teams, face to face in the trenches, war on their minds. Whistle blows, the order to go over the top, received loud and clear. There can only be one victor, pride, the spoils to be won. So yeah, that was again a memory of refereeing the Army versus Navy football match that I did many years ago. So the third section in the book is called Animals, and these are all about the pets and the pets that I've had and the animals that have been in my life. And yeah, this one's called Squeak's Adventures, and it's actually from my first collection called The Things That I Love. But it had a pride of place in here as well. Squeak is a cat and he likes to travel. He's probably seen things that would make your mind unravel. Across the road he goes with grace to see the old people in the old people's place. He has his own shed where he does his wheeling and dealing. He's as hard as nails and he doesn't care about feelings. Dogs, well, they're not an issue because Squeak is the boss and he knows what to do. When he hears his name being called, he's in no rush because he knows that when he gets home, there'll be lots of fuss. All the other cats give him the respect he deserves. Bubbles, Ella, and Pie, they will humbly serve. For he is the king of the cats. So you better belch out, or you'll be sleeping with the rats. So yeah, that's quite a fun little poem. And I'm just going to do one more from this section. And this is actually about our current pet, Her name's Patches, and she's a character, and she definitely likes to chase and hunt things. So this is called The Hunter. Pupils dilated, ears pricked back, almost touching neck, where hair stands to attention, ready for their next order. Saliva salivates subtly as tongue licks lips, in ready anticipation. Nostrils flare at the unmistakable smell of fear. Claws grab the dirt, building silent camouflage. Soil under fingernails, enabling subdued silence. Until the right moment, until the time is right, until the prey comes into sight. A blurry flash of movement, a scrappy scuffle, a boost of thrilled adrenaline. As quick as it starts, it's over. The sweet taste of victory dances around taste buds, in jubilant triumph. So yeah, that's the animal section. Now the fourth section is geographical. So these are the places that I've grown up in, I've lived in, that I have a special connection with. So it's going to be a couple of poems from this section. The first one is about where I currently live. I grew up in London, but I now live in Milton Keynes. So I thought it'd be fitting to do this poem. It's called Milton Keynes. Dizziness from roundabouts. Round and round and around we go, always on the left. Vertically and horizontally, grids outlining the city in its modern structure, still holding that newness, expanding and extending further and further out, crossing boundaries, attracting more people and keeping individuality. That's the battle. Stolid cows stand proudly, welcoming new inhabitants with a concrete nod. This poem, so my maternal grandmother, as mentioned, she came from Scotland. She grew up in a town on the borders called Hoyk. And when producing this book, I actually spent time and I interviewed members of my family. And actually, during the pandemic, it offered a great opportunity to do this. And I actually spoke to one of my aunties about visiting Hoyk and about the trips that they used to take. So this poem is about that, and they, her memories there. Hoyk. Sleepy, tired, drowsy, placed into the back of the stationary vehicle. The journey ahead awaits. Dreams fill slumbering heads of adventures yet to come. Fields pass, animals pass, darkness passes. Slumber fades alongside the M6. Steel partitions separating cars from pedestrians. Hungry belly sated with eggs for breakfast. Not fried, not poached, not boiled. In between two slices of bread. Carbs and protein to start the day. A familiar greeting. Cattle providing a guard of honour, serenading us with their Scottish lowing, filling the incumbent air. A caravan with a toilet situated precariously outside our new home, for the vacation's duration, just outside of town. A stream nearby becomes the theatre for childish adventures, entertainment derived from imagination. Arrival, Hoyk, Fraser Avenue. We're not guests here, we're family. Entering through the side, piercing the quietness and routine. Auntie is in the kitchen, watching the bottom oven buns, browning to perfection, and square sausages frying in the pan. Another auntie is in the parlour, cleaning and stoking the coal fire, even during the summer months. A town made for warmth, fire and war at its heart, a family brought together at its roots. So that's a poem called Hoyk. Next one is called Brixham Harbour. Now, again, like I said, we used to go on holiday down to the south coast. And one of the things we used to love doing was crab fishing. So this poem is about that. Smoke fills nostrils and fingertips. From thin, translucent strips of bacon, tightly wound and delicately pierced through the steel instrument's curve. Wire unwound as the bait is lowered to the dark and murky waters below. Holding on to the other end attached to a plastic block, the wire taut. Time passes slowly as a stillness fills the air and the waves beckoning into the night sky. The sound of other families in the distance serenades ears. Tug, tug, tug. There's someone on the other end of the wire line, waiting impatiently as it's slowly brought up, dangling with its mouth around bacon. It's another for the tiny plastic bucket placed next to me, now overcrowded. Members of its own crustacean family crawling and climbing over one another. Disappointed chatter among other families grouped along the harbour walls, with little to show in their tiny tubs, not knowing the smoky, porky secret. As the night ends, the bucket and all its contents carefully tip back into the swell of the harbour's dark grey waters below. That's until their next soggy, smoky meal. So I think the final section is actually called personal. So these are my personal recollections. These are personal stories to me that I remember that have had an effect on me and who I am. So this one is called Crack at First Kick. Out of place, beached on a sea of green. Its tempting allure bobbing on the waves of grass, weeds not native to briny waters. Its invitation to play unequivocal. Temptation flows, bubbling to the surface. Its bold, striking colours, glistening in the sunlight, gliding almost motionless across the luscious lawn. Leg twitching in anticipation. The unknown approaches. Instinct literally kicks in. My feet move as if separate from my body, with one destination and objective in mind. Its roundness begging for contact, to be struck, to accelerate with a forward trajectory. It was all going to plan. It was all going how it should until the foot connected. However, the rest of the body was unaware of the plans. Instead, they had their own agenda, to fly. Head saw ankles for a fleeting second, and then whack! Arm meets ground. With a bone-crunching thud, screams serenade the garden as parents and friends come running. Arm held, wrist snapped in two places. You could say it was love at first kick. So that was actually a story about me and my first interaction with football, which was actually a beach ball in a friend's garden. I was 3 years old. And I went to kick it, went head over heels and broke my left wrist in two places. And yeah, I haven't looked back since. Love football. That's always like quite a funny story. I still have the cast as well from my broken arm. So this poem is about when I grew up and where I grew up. We didn't have a 2-school system. We had a 3-school system. So we had first school, middle school, and high school. And middle school was from year 4 till year 7. And this poem is about my middle school. And I had a great time there. And yeah, it's one of the best influences, best places that I can remember. So this poem's called Liberty. It literally means freedom. And that's how we felt. Free from worries, free from responsibilities, free from restrictions. Forever in our hearts, a place with no judgment, no exclusion, no fear. Carefree revelry, showcasing individuality, uniqueness in its young form, children being children, children being themselves, children being authentic. Legacy long-lasting, educated foundations formed within, intellectually blossoming. And the next one is called Backwards Poet. So a dear friend of mine who passed away sadly at the end of last year, a friend, a mentor, called Benjamin Zephaniah, once described me as a backwards poet because I said that way that I like to write is that I would type it out. And I used to do this quite a bit. I used to type it out and then I would transfer it into a notebook. And I don't think he could ever understand why I did that. And so, to be fair, neither can I. It's just personal taste, I guess. But yeah, he described me as backwards poet. So that's this poem. Bright light from screens, tapping on keyboards, delete key in overdrive, fingers taut, overstretched, wrists ache unsupported, saving to the cloud, files in the air, gadgets and accessories adorn bags and drawers, wires and wireless, options are boundless. Scribbles jotted down from screen to page. No lines needing to be struck through, words written in careful calligraphic styling script, pristine, no errors. Pages not left dog-eared, but eloquently sectioned, petitioned neatly, between verse for one to digest. So that's backwards poet. And the final poem that I'm going to read is a memory that's going to stay with me forever. And it's actually the day that I met my fiance, Kathleen. We were meeting in London, in Soho. She had been there for quite a few hours. I was working, so I had to come after work. And I just remember walking in to the bar. I was a bit flustered. She said, "Go and get yourself a drink." So this poem is called Across the Bar. Seeing those piercing green blue eyes, looking across the bar in my direction, igniting the spark that now intensifies. Nerves abated, slowly they minimize. No reason to worry, no apprehension, seeing those piercing green blue eyes. A glance and a smile subtly signifies the hidden and budding emotion, igniting the spark that now intensifies. The response to a look effect multiplies as I try to recognize this reaction, seeing those piercing green blue eyes. This newfound side of me materializes as I await my drink, order's creation, igniting the spark that now intensifies. Calm and content, feelings magnified, taking my seat, I'm now stationed, seeing those piercing green blue eyes, igniting the spark that now intensifies. So it's been a whirlwind of poetry, and thank you for joining me and for listening in. Roots is now available, so please do check it out. I hope you've enjoyed hearing some of those poems and some of my memories and family memories of where I've come from, where my family's come from, where I am now, and what's made me me. Thank you for joining. If you do want to subscribe, please do. And I look forward to seeing you soon at another online stream or in person. Take care.